everybody. Good afternoon. Happy Saturday, and welcome to another episode of Speaking Plain English. I am your host, Roberta, and as you can see, we are on the move this morning, afternoon, actually. Morning if you are across the water. Not across the water, across the country. Y'all know what I mean. So, y'all are going to catch me in transit because today is a I don't even know what to call it kind of day. But I could not come on today because there's some stuff we got to talk about. There are some things that we need to discuss. So before we do anything, go ahead and do your liking and your sharing and your subscribing if you're on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and share with your peoples because we got some stuff to talk about. We definitely have some things we need to discuss. I hope y'all can hear me because I know the wind is something. So if you cannot hear me, somebody say something and let me know. I see there's two of you watching. So if you can't hear me, or somebody let me know if you can't hear me clearly because we need to talk. Like, honestly and truly, we need to talk. I'm not usually one that likes to go for hot topics or things that are, current events or things like that because I like for this channel to kind of be a little bit of a breath of fresh air per se, or a what can I call it? Like a break, I guess you can say, from what's going on in the world. But today we gotta talk. And it's not specifically on one specific topic that's been going on in the news, but it pretty much carries over to a lot of different things. So I'm just waiting for somebody to let me know if you can hear me because what I don't want to do is continue and y'all can't hear me. I need to make the adjustments that need to be made. So nobody's saying anything, so I'm going to assume that y'all can. Whatever the case may be, hopefully y'all can hear me. If not, somebody say something. What today's topic is what one can do. And what I mean by that, by what one can do, I mean I know there's a lot of stuff going on. Matter of fact, we're gonna get into some of the hot topics for the current events. I'll put it like that. For the past few days, how the Supreme Court made a really bold faced decision on ruling against affirmative action. And the thing is, at the beginning, when you look at it, the way that they worded it, the way that they placed it, they made it seem like, oh, this is such a good idea because, we're not going to allow race to be a factor when it comes to education and da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, see, this is the problem that I have with that. If things were equal, you know what I mean? If things were, if we were treated equally, if the Black and brown community were treated equally from the jump, if we didn't have to fight for the rights to be able to be deemed worthy, for different programs and things, or to be seen as equal, if we didn't have to fight for equality, then it would be a problem. There would be fine. That would not be an issue. People would. That's what they're hoping, that because most of us have to fight harder to get where to get success. And Clarence Thomas needs to be ashamed of himself because he was back, and y'all can see in here. My apologies, y'all. I'm in the mountains, so I'm You may hear a lot wind, and you may go out for a little bit. But my point was that the very ones who decided to make that decision was one of the ones who actually specifically about that. I'll put it like that, because there's a lot of other things that other issues that have been occurring and that are occurring that need fixing. And sometimes what we do is we get on our soapbox and we get on things like this, and we get, we put our posts up and we say what we need to say. Express our opinions and express how disappointed, you know what I mean? And people my point is sorry about that. But what I want to start doing, a lot can one person do? Like, I'm just one person. What can I do? Is it, there's nothing I can do. I'm only one. I'm not in any place of position, to make any changes or anything like that. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. Because at the end of the day, one person is a person. And if you're trying to figure out things that can be done in order to make changes in our nation as well as our community, I've mentioned this before, how difficult it is for those of us that are in certain areas, not area codes, but in certain zip codes. Those of us who are in certain zip codes to get their business, the more expensive it is for you to actually to do some good. I'll put it like that. To own businesses and things like that. And I've seen it firsthand. That's part of one of the things that I do as a business. Like, I help people start their businesses. And one of the things that I've noticed that it's more expensive. The more urban of the place that you live, the more expensive it is for you, especially in New York State. New York State is greedy. But the more of an urban area that you live, if you live in a city or metropolitan area, it's expensive. Looking at different prices for just to rent in New York City, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm talking about all the boroughs. So what they're starting to do is it's all strategic. It's all strategic. So what they're starting to do is, and I'm not going to make this a rant fest. I'm just giving y'all a little bit of background of knowledge of why things like this affect us so much, and why people that are like, oh, why don't you just show, prove and do what you need to do to show that you don't need these programs and this, that, and the third. Y'all have to understand, it can be done. It absolutely can be done, and it is being done. However, it's more difficult, and it shouldn't be. It's more difficult for no reason, and that's the problem that I have. Like, I'm at like I said, where I work right now. I work at a doctor's office in a Jewish community, and I'm trying to remember what it was that we were talking about. It just left me just that quickly. But anyway, the reason why I'm saying that it's so difficult for us in the Black and brown community to do what it is that we need to do as a business is because I feel like, and I see how everything is, is geared towards pushing us out. and that's always how it's been, to be perfectly honest. And again, I'm not going to stay here. Because we're going to get into solutions in a minute. But I'm just trying to, help people to get an understanding of why it's not as simple and why it's not as easy. You know what I mean? So what we would need to do and what we would like to do, and that's why I'm big on, and again, I love, as much as I don't like to necessarily, like I say, I love everybody, and I don't like people. I don't like people. I don't for the most part. I don't like to be around a lot of people. It's difficult for me to be around a lot of people that I don't know very well. But if I'm cool with you, I'm cool with you. And I'm easy to get along with, very easy to get along with. But it takes a minute for me to actually, get close to people. That's just how I am. However, in general, I just don't like a lot of the stuff that we do, like that human beings do. And the thing is, what I found is that when you're striving to do something, and I'm trying to get my train of thought back together, because it's completely gone because my brain is everywhere. When you're striving to do your absolute best, it's easier for some than it is for others. And so I want everybody to understand, I am so pro-Black. Like, I'm rooting for us when it comes to everything. But let me just say something. We have to be very, very careful with that too. We got to be careful that we don't just vote for people that are Black just for the sake that they're Black. We can't just side with them just because. And I love supporting Black-owned businesses. Like, I love it. But what we have to make sure that we do is that we have to make sure we do things in excellence as well. In addition to that, we have to also make sure that we're able to be educated. I'm going to tell y'all something, and we're going to have to get into I have to do an episode. I'm looking for some people, as a matter of fact. I'm looking for people who are part of the Board of Education, who are instructors, who are, professors in grade schools as well as in colleges. Because we have to have a conversation, and we have to do something. Because I'm noticing what I've noticed, and I've mentioned this before in prior episodes, how different education systems are depending on where you live. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, in case you didn't know, we'll backtrack a little bit. I was born in Long Island City, Queens, right? I was born in Queens. I spent from birth until 4th grade in the New York City school district, like in New York City schools. I'll put it like that. In New York City public schools. I'm from, birth, when I first started from pre-K. I don't even think did we go to pre-K? Did I go to pre-K? I don't remember if I went to pre-K or not. I just know I went to kindergarten, and I don't even think I went to nursery school. My brother did. Anyway, anytime I was in school in the city, in any of the boroughs, I'll put it like that, we had our education and things like that, blah, blah, blah. I moved to Ulster County. I moved to Ulster County in 4th grade. And some of the stuff that, like in the beginning of the year, I remember my teacher, first of all, he was racist as I don't know what. Second of all, he was just a nasty man. Mr. Thompson was his name. I forgot his first name, but I don't know. His last name was Thompson. Mr. Thompson, white guy. From what I understand, he's retired now. And anyway, I'm not going to do that. Lord help me. But man. So this guy would publicly humiliate me in front of the entire class because we were going over some things for review and the stuff in the beginning of the year, and the stuff that we would be reviewing, I was just learning. So he would make fun of me in front of the class, and he would, he would say, "Oh, like, what's wrong with you? Where you come from? Why don't you?" Da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? He would do all that type of stuff in class, in front of the class, because I didn't know. Like, they were expecting me to just catch it just like that, when they had already learned it in 3rd grade, and I'm just learning what it is that they're reviewing. So I didn't recognize it then, but as I'm going to tell you when I did recognize it. So, and again, this is prior knowledge that I've mentioned in other episodes before. When my daughter was going to pre-K, when she was in pre-K, we were in the Bronx. We lived in the Bronx, and when she was in pre-K, that's when they started the pre-K for all program, and she went to a Christian school. It was a church, but that was what we selected. It was right down the street from the school, so I wanted her to go to a nice school, and that's where she went. Right. So she did great. She did well. She's very, my daughter is very, very advanced. Both of my kids, actually, thank God. They are, as far as education and art and a lot of those things go, they've been advanced. And so my daughter, before we were, she finished pre-K, we were actually in the process of moving out of the boroughs and going to Westchester County. Was it Westchester County or Orange County? Orange County. We went to Orange County, which is a little upstate from New York, from the city, from the boroughs. So while we were, she didn't finish pre-K, or she didn't finish pre-K, but while they were about to, the school year was almost done, and they were saying that we should consider her to get tested for the gifted and talented program. And so I'm like, you know what, she's not going to be here, for the next year for kindergarten. However, what I'll do is I'll look up some schools, further up north, so that I can get her in those programs. Couldn't find nothing. Could not find anything. And then I found out I started to think about that. I'm like, why can't I find gifted and talent programs outside of the city? And it's because the stuff that they consider gifted and talented in the boroughs is the standard up north. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous, because that's, as you can see, that you see what they're doing. That's already setting the kids up in a certain area, which are mostly Black and brown, to not be as educated, to not, get, the knowledge, as much advanced in education as those up north are, which are mostly white. So as you can see, it starts from there. It seems like it's a whole strategic plan. And now that a lot of us are getting more educated and more knowledgeable about these things, what's happening is that they're making things difficult for us to run businesses and to own businesses. And they are raising rent. They're raising, mortgages. They're raising the price for us, the cost of living, to be absolutely astronomical. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And then on top of that, now it's hard to get jobs. Now that we want to run our own businesses and we have to try to rely on, like it's just all around difficult for us to do certain things in certain areas, and it's planned that way. So now that we're getting the education, now that we're doing what we need to do to run our businesses, now all of a sudden, like, we're taking advantage of these programs and things that we have that'll help us to get, not a head start, but help us get to equal plane. Now all of a sudden you want to get rid of it because we're actually taking advantage of it and doing what we need to do. Got you. So what I'm seeing, and somebody said it, I saw somebody else saying it, and I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I see exactly where this is going. They're coming after the HBCUs. They're going to come after the HBCUs. So, all right. So now that we have an idea of, what all of this means and why it's an issue and why it's a problem for those who may not know or may not, quite get it. That's part of the reason why it's an issue, because it's not, it's made to look like it's masked. It's made to look like things are supposed to be equal. But the thing is, it's not equal. And it never was from jump, from the very beginning. Things were never equal for us. Never. It was always taken over. And the problem is, and that's where this is an issue. Because if things were equal from jump, then we wouldn't have to have all of these affirmative action programs. We wouldn't have to have all of these special programs for, for Black and brown children. People and adults. And women and things like. We wouldn't have to have all that. Women's rights would it be necessary? All of these different things would not be necessary if everything was across the board. And that's the reason why we've had to fight for things as much as we've had to. And now that we've been successful, and now you want to take it from us, cool. All right. So I'm trying not to stay there, y'all. I'm trying to stay there because we want solutions. So what can one person do? What one person can do is make up their mind that, listen, this is an area of passion for me. Like those of us who may be interested in politics, you know what I mean? We have our gifts and we have our talents and we have everything that, that we have going for us. Why not use that? Those of us who have influence, you know what I mean? And hopefully I'm going to start seeing some more people of influence, Black people of influence, and not even just Black people, but those, white people too, especially because they'll listen to y'all before they listen to us. But people of influence, I keep saying I guess I'm speaking into an existence and using our influence to be able to speak to people and educate people and help them understand, because some people unfortunately are just going to go with whoever their favorite is and they're just going to go for whatever it is. I admonish people to get educated about yourself and get an understanding of things yourself. But unfortunately, some people are lazy and they're not going to do that. So I admonish those that are of influence to take that and help people to understand exactly what's going on and what they can do. If you're not a person of influence, because I know some people may be saying, well, I'm not a person of influence. People don't know me. Listen, I ain't got a lot of followers. I'm not at this point as of now. You know what I mean? I don't have a whole big, huge audience yet. However, at the same time, I can speak to who I can speak to. And on top of that, we can also make a difference by understanding who it is that we're voting for when it comes to these elections. Specifically, these local elections, everybody likes to wait until the meetings. A bit of a chat in just a second about what else can be done, because stuff needs to happen. Let's go. Really? It's like a commercial. Guys, I'm having some serious technical difficulties, but yes, so
are you the next great independent artist, but you're looking for a distribution opportunity? Well, sign with us at Praise.fm Music Distribution. Yes, the 2021 Stellar Award nominated Praise.fm can handle it all. We understand the narrow road leading to getting your music heard at the right time at the right place can be tough. So send your music and video files to fmpraise@gmail.com. That's fmprayz@gmail.com. Praise.fm Music Distribution, affiliated with Sony Music and the Orchard Distributors.
My God, you ought to praise him right there.
I threw it, my God, he threw it back at me.
He threw it right back at me, yes he did. I threw in the towel. I wanted to give up.
Ain't no way I'm gonna leave you now. Ain't no way I'm gonna let you down. I'm this far, I'm gonna get my crown. You're the reason why has come around and is pounding at my door. Your voice is heard. So let's get crazy.
You are now listening to Speaking Plain English with your host Roberta on Praise FM.
All right, guys, we are back. So, real quick, an extra commercial supplemental announcement. Anybody who is looking to have your business or your, Black authors, Black artists, Black business owners, if you are Black churches, if you are have business advertised in English, comment. Okay, I don't know what just happened. And now I'm on twice. Yay! Oh my goodness. Okay, like I said, I'm in the woods and I'm out and about. Kind of close to where I'm supposed to be. But like I was saying, anybody who is looking to advertise your business, advertise an event, advertise any music that you may have, or book authors, would love to be able to advertise you on our show, or if you have a topic or something like that you want to discuss, or you want to be highlighted as a guest, so as a guest as well, hit me up. You can either hit my DMs or Messenger if you're listening that way, or you can send me an email at doyh.marketing@gmail.com. Again, that is D like dog, OYH.marketing@gmail.com. All right. So back to what we were saying. If you feel like you're just one person and that there's not very much that you can do, the little things do matter. The little things do count and they do matter. And when I say little things, I mean, like, one, having conversations with your, the people in your community, having conversations with your, your church groups, or your, even at work, things like that. Making sure that you are participating in voting, doing the research and for the candidates, or even, if you are a person who is into politics, or maybe if you're not into politics, but you want to see things change, and just saying that kind of scared me a little bit, and would be interested and want to actually be in the process, do something about it. Look at, what I mean? Look it up, check it out and do the research to see what it is that you can do. Write the emails. Social media is a big thing now. So everybody has a Twitter or an Instagram or a Facebook page. Make some noise one way or another. You know what I mean? Make it public. That's how a lot of these different things are getting out there and out there being discovered, is because people are actually opening their mouths and saying things. There's more stuff going on than we realize if we really pay attention. There's a lot more going on than we realize in local areas that'll never get televised on a major grand scale, because not enough people have made enough noise about it. So you never know. I'm going to give you a very practical example of what I mean. So yesterday, I was taking the kids to, I had to pick the kids up and I got them, and I brought them home. We had just went grocery shopping. And so I am, the kids are helping, taking the stuff, and I'm getting my stuff out of getting our stuff out of the car. And one of my neighbors, I don't know his name, but I know I see him around every so often. He says hello every so often. He passed by and he stopped and he stopped and says hello, and then he stopped and he says, I just want to tell you I'm proud of you. And I'm like, I don't know you. I'm like, what do you mean? And he says, I know, I don't know you, but I watch, I see what you're doing, and I see you taking your kids to church. And I just wanted to tell you that that's very needed, and I'm proud of you for that. And I said, oh, well, thank you, and then he says, God bless you, have a great day, da-da-da-da. He asked me if I needed any help with, bringing the stuff upstairs, which, I didn't want to take. So I told him no, I got it. And then he's like, all right, you have a good one or whatever. But then I told my kids, but later on, actually not too much longer afterwards, he ended up coming back and asked again, like, you sure you don't need some help? And I'm like, you know what, I might have to take you up on that, because I had a lot of stuff. Kids had stuff, I had stuff. So as reluctant as I was, I accepted the offer. And so he took the stuff, he helped take the stuff up the stairs and left it in front of the door and said, have a good day, and I thanked the Lord. Anyway, I said all of that to say that you never know who it is that, is watching, number one. You never know who you can influence by what you do. Again, I don't know this guy. I don't know his name. I didn't even ask him his name. But he's in the neighborhood. I've seen him around in the neighborhood, and he lives across the street from where I am. And I've said hello to him a couple of times, and that's about it. But you never know who's actually paying attention. So just to say that you're just one person and that you can't make a difference and you can't, you're not a person of influence, you don't have to be. Because you never know who you know, and you never know who you know knows, if that makes sense. There are people who I actually know that have, great influence. I know there are people that I know that know people, you know what I mean? So all of that, you don't really have to be in the forefront all the time. Some people just don't like to be in the forefront. Some people like to be behind the scenes. I'm one of those people. But at the same time, what you do, who you talk to, some of the stuff that you can get involved in, getting involved in your community things, that matters. That all matters, and that all can assist with so many different things. Because if enough people are talking and you find out, that you are like-minded in certain things, then all you got to do is get together and be like, okay, you know what? I thought I was the only one thinking about this. Let's do something. Or let's go. I know this person, or I know this person that knows, or we can, get someone, see if there's anybody else who feels the same way. You don't have to have, again, major influence. All you have to do is know one person. You know what I mean? And in addition to that, like I said, do your voting, your local voting, do your go to your be involved in your community stuff, be involved in town hall meetings, because some of these things actually get passed, some laws and things get passed because nobody shows up. Some of these issues and things get swept under the, just gets quickly ran, over and through without those that are members of the community knowing, because nobody decided, nobody wants to show up for the meetings. And those are the ways, the things that we can be a part of, like the Board of Education meetings and the town hall meetings, and even when in community meetings. And if there isn't any, start something. At the end of the day, there's something that can be done. Something. that can be done. One person can be the catalyst. That's all it takes is for one person. There was one person that created so many different things. You know what I mean? It took an idea. It starts with an idea. And if you have that idea, you can do whatever it is that needs to be done to get it started. Do the research. If you don't have the resources, so a lot of things that we think that we really need a whole lot of resources for and a lot of money for, it starts with little steps. It all starts with little steps, and we can do those things. And those things are not as expensive as we think. And some things don't cost anything at all. This doesn't, well, yes, it does. It actually does cost me money because I paid for the subscription. But at the end of the day, social media for the most part is free. You can go ahead and you can get on a live. You can, you know what I mean? Things like that. Yes, they are important, and they are, they do bring influence now as at this point. But at the same time, there's things that you can do right at home. And starting with who you are that you're talking to amongst yourselves, your community, your own family. You know what I mean? Your whatever groups that you're a part of. So that's my soapbox for today, y'all. Like, there's not a whole lot that I really have on this. I'm just saying, you may just be one person, but one person can do a lot. It only takes one seed to have a whole orchard. To one seed is all it takes. Is all it starts. I'll put it like that. Starting with one seed, you can end up with a whole orchard. And because you plant one seed in the ground, you get a bunch of fruit. And all of those different fruits produce other fruit. You know what I mean? Produce other fruit. So that's what I mean. And next thing you know, you have a whole orchard of apples and oranges and, pears. And you see what I'm saying? Y'all see what I'm saying? So that's all I have for y'all today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to Speaking Plain English. Until next time, I love you guys. Let's make some things happen, please, because anger is great. Being angry it can be a good thing if it's channeled in the right direction. If it's, if something is done about it. Those of you who are authors, get to writing. Those of you who are musicians and artists, get to writing. That's what that's what things that used to be done, back in the day. If there was any issues going on that we didn't like, Marvin Gaye was big for that. You know what I mean? There were artists back then that were really big for that. If you use what you have to make things change, to make a difference. All right? And if you feel like you don't, you actually do. All right? I love you guys. Until next time.